It starts with our main character, Kim Tae-ju, desperately fleeing through the woods from a group of ruthless officials. Sprinting for his life, he struggles to understand exactly why they are so determined to hunt him down. He eventually hits a dead end at a cliff edge, his heart hammering against his ribs like it is about to explode. With nowhere left to turn, the soldiers finally close the distance and surround the exhausted young man. And right at the front, the squad leader, Jeong In-dong. In-dong mocks him, pointing out that sprinting like that only triggers seizures for a mana reject like Tae-ju. In-dong sneers that this is officially the end of the line, so there is no point in struggling anymore. In total frustration, Tae-ju demands to know why they are after him, but In-dong just laughs at the question. He mockingly reminds Tae-ju that as a reject, he really should have been dead a long time ago. He actually wonders how he even managed to survive until age 29. Apparently, his survival started annoying someone very important. The moment In-dong hints that this person is a woman, the realization hits Tae-ju like a physical blow. It is his stepmother, Honda Mitsui. She is the one who wants him wiped from the face of the earth. In-dong warns him to be careful, even if she is his stepmother. He really needs to watch his tongue. Without a second thought, In-dong lunges, plunging his blade into Tae-ju's chest before kicking him off the cliff. As he falls, In-dong waves goodbye with a cold, mocking smile. He tells him that Honda's 2 biological sons will be the only ones inheriting the Paju territory now. Apparently, 300 years ago in 2026, an eclipse happened and Mana crashed down to Earth. 90% of humanity was instantly wiped out as the climate twisted and entire cities crumbled into ruins. Civilization fell apart completely, and now we jump 300 years ahead. Welcome to the year 2326. The few remaining survivors have finally adapted to the mana and managed to rebuild some semblance of society. But new threats emerged, magical beasts and toxic plants mutated by mana, sparking a brutal new war. Over time, a strict class system based entirely on a person's mana aptitude was established. At the very peak sits the awakened class. They serve as the anti-beast combat force, marked by facial tattoos. Below them is the mana-compatible class. These warriors possess enhanced physical abilities that make them formidable in any direct combat situation. Then you have the mana adaptive. These are just ordinary people who have adapted, but sitting at the very bottom are the mana rejects. Their bodies literally fight the mana, leaving them suffering from constant, agonizing mana poisoning. Tae-ju's father, Kim Woong-bang, is a different story. He is a top-tier awakened master with power that is almost beyond comprehension. As a brigadier general, his influence is massive, yet his eldest son is seen as a total disappointment. Instead of inheriting talent, Tae-ju is slowly dying from the mana poisoning that plagues every reject. As Tae-ju's life fades, something strange happens. His drifting soul comes into contact with a mysterious and powerful figure from the distant past. This stranger uses a skill to pull Tae-ju up, wanting a closer look at the dying boy's face. Tae-ju recognizes him instantly. It is the supreme poison demon himself, Tang Gun. Tang was the legendary patriarch of the Sichuan Tang clan, masters of poisons and hidden weaponry. Back then, everything was different. When the demonic cult threatened everything, Tang dissolved their leader with just a handful of lethal poison. He eventually became the absolute master of the Murim. Now, this legendary powerhouse is actually sharing a soul with our struggling main character. It seems he was attempting to ascend to immortality when his soul got tangled with Tae-ju's. The second Tae-ju recognizes him, Tang's memories flood his mind and their souls merge into one. Simply put, they've merged into a single being, and Tae-ju is basically Tang's new form. Yet, he spent his whole life being mocked as nothing but a pathetic reject. Tang finally realizes this inner soul space was designed specifically for their unified spirit. Tang tells Tae-ju that he will be able to rule the world if he can cultivate all the vast knowledge and experience he's taken from him. In an instant, a massive wave of power surges into Tae-ju, and Tang tells him to use it freely. With that, Tang says goodbye and wishes him luck in the coming battles. Tiju wakes up and realizes it wasn't a dream because Tang's knowledge remains etched in his mind. He's feeling completely drained and exhausted. But he knows he has to survive this no matter the cost. To do that, he needs to learn the martial art that made Tang the supreme master of the Murim, a style that grows stronger the more poison he consumes. It's known as the formless primordial poison spirit art. Conveniently enough, there are poisonous plants all around him, so he doesn't hesitate to start eating them to ensure his survival. He realizes if he converts the toxins into energy and forms a poison essence, he can create a poison danshin and reconstruct his body to shed his reject status. Tiju is certain he'll survive and pay back every single person who ever wronged him, and Indong is first on the list. Later that evening, Indong and his thugs are searching the woods to find where Tiju's body went. But the search is proving to be incredibly difficult. Indong is already losing his mind, wondering why it's so hard to find a simple, lifeless body in these woods. Suddenly, they find Tiju meditating, and they're more shocked than scared that he's alive. One soldier notices that something is very wrong with the way Tiju is acting right now. They see a green aura swirling around him, wondering if it's some kind of mana. They can't wrap their heads around it. While Tiju sits perfectly still, completely locked into his deep meditation. They have no clue he's actually gathering internal energy through the poison essence. Indong is disgusted by the mere sight of him and tells his men to murder him before he becomes a nuisance. A soldier pulls out his blade and moves toward the meditating boy. But just as he's about to strike, Tiju's senses sharpen instantly, and he redirects the man's hand to hit the tree behind him instead. The soldiers are absolutely stunned by his incredible reaction speed, and Tiju is just as stunned to realize he's finally manipulating his own internal energy. Tiju clenches his fist, because he's found the power he needs to get revenge on his enemies. Finally pulling himself together, he taunts Indong, saying it's good to see him again. Indong just scoffs, telling Tiju that he's still weak because even if he has awakened, he doesn't have a marking. Tiju just scoffs when he hears Indong say this, clearly seeing the man's total ignorance. Turns out, awakeners are ranked from master all the way down to user. We have master, expert, regular, beginner, and finally, the lowly user. Once you awaken, your rank marking literally appears right on your face. Look at Indong's mark. He is just a beginner, or in Murim terms, a nobody. The guy is just a third-rate martial artist. From a real pro's perspective, Tiju can tell this guy is totally pathetic. Tiju asks if he has any last words, but Indong thinks he's just being an arrogant fool. Tiju gets ready, sliding coins between his fingers to use as deadly projectiles. He tells Indong that it is finally time for some long-overdue payback. Indong draws his sword. He mocks Tiju, laughing at the idea of fighting with pocket change. Indong promises that this time, he is going to finish the job for good. Then, he orders his men to swarm Tiju. This is his first real battle since awakening, yet Tiju feels strangely and perfectly calm. He knows this composure comes straight from those old Tang family memories. Mana might have rejected him, but the poison demon's path still lives on inside. Tiju trusts his new power completely, and without a second thought. He launches the coins using the Swift Strike Phantom Mirage Steps technique. The coins find their targets, stopping them cold, while Tiju charges in with a lethal poison palm strike. He strikes Indong before he can blink, sending him flying across the clearing. The final guy. Watching his leader get tossed aside like total garbage, the last man panics and draws his gun instead of surrendering. He aims right at Tiju's head from point-blank range. But by the time he pulls the trigger, Tiju has vanished. He drops the guy easily, whispering that he was just too slow. With the entire squad neutralized, Tiju calmly strolls over to the broken Indong. Indong groans in absolute agony. He gasps, asking what happened. Tiju calmly explains that even an awakener is completely helpless when it comes to lethal poison. As the venom tears through him, Indong struggles to ask how he used such a skill, without even having a rank mark. Teju can't believe this guy just called a Tang technique a mere skill. The old master would definitely be rolling in his grave if he heard that. Still, Teju asks how it feels to be the victim, since he knows the feeling well. Black liquid starts leaking from every part of his body. Right then, Indong knows he is truly finished. He pathetically begs for his life. But Teju grabs his throat, lifting him up with cold, murderous intent. Seeing that Teju has absolutely no intention of letting him go, Indong tries to threaten him by mentioning his powerful backers, but Teju just chokes the life out of him. Once the life fades, he drops the body onto the dirt. Teju smiles, telling the corpse that he never planned on going down quietly. Now, the Samhain Empire. That is a nation born right after the Manhwa apocalypse. It's a massive integration of what used to be Korea, China, and Japan. Teju's hometown, Paju, is part of the empire too, though it's just a poor, struggling little city. Back in the Paju territory, Kim's father gets word about the failed hit on Teju. The scout reports that Indong's crew ambushed Teju during a routine patrol. But Teju actually survived. Now that he is officially discharged, the man has vanished. Even crazier, Indong and his thugs were slaughtered by monsters while trying to escape. Kim is stunned, demanding to know why they would do something so reckless. It looks like a high-level hit ordered by officers with Japanese ties. The second he hears that, he knows exactly who it is: Honda. See, Honda belongs to a powerful Japanese clan that joined the Samhain Empire. She is also the mother of Teju's half-brothers, Taepyeong and Taechin. She clearly went after Teju to make sure the Paju territory went to her mana-sensitive sons instead. Everyone knows she has been praying for his death since he is a total mana reject. But since he was taking forever to die, she finally snapped. In the end, she went straight to her father. He is a big shot in Kyushu who helped arrange the assassination. Kim wonders why she couldn't just wait, since it is obvious Teju is on his deathbed anyway. It is a massive scandal. But Kim realizes he has to bury this because Paju needs the Mitsui family's massive fortune. Once the official finishes his grim report, Kim dismisses him without a word. He says he will handle everything from here, but once alone, he starts overthinking the whole messy situation. He is convinced Teju is dying. Honestly, it is a miracle the kid even survived to the age of 29 at all. Honda definitely went way too far. But Kim decides to ignore the crime for the sake of his other two healthy sons. They are the future of Paju, while Teju is basically just a walking corpse. Since Teju is gone, Kim assumes he will never have to see him again. He just hopes his son spends his remaining days in peace. He promises himself not to go looking. Later, right at the border of the Samhain Empire, Teju stands on a mountain, looking down at a city called Guri. He is totally speechless. His boss notices and starts giving him a history lesson. 300 years ago, this place was just a tiny, forgotten town in South Korea. But everything changed once the Samhain Empire took control. They are currently standing on top of Mount Jiri. Back then, the area was crawling with high-level magical beasts. So the emperor turned Guri into a fortified free city. They even removed taxes on monster loot. It is a lawless place with special perks for those who fight. Naturally, awakeners flooded in, and the monster hunting business exploded. Now, Guri is a massive, wealthy metropolis. It provides 20% of the entire empire's monster resources. It is basically a goldmine for anyone desperate for cash. But Teju is already bored out of his mind, wishing his boss would just shut up. The boss keeps the story going, warning that dangerous criminals are everywhere, so everyone has to stay sharp and on their toes. Teju thanks the man for the heads up, and his boss encourages him to keep the questions coming if he ever needs to know more about this world. Even though the guy is a parrot, Teju is not even mad. He knows his boss is a good soul who gives solid advice. It turns out that, after surviving that assassination attempt on his life, our main character cut all ties and vanished, searching for a place to truly grow stronger. That search led him to Guri, a free city where the empire's laws are weak and their authority is non-existent. Tiju figures this is the one place his family will never be able to track him down. Plus, the city is crawling with toxic magical beasts and deadly medicinal herbs, making it the perfect training ground for his secret martial arts techniques. Martial arts might still be a new concept here. But Tiju is just lucky he shared a soul with Tang before the old man passed away. In a weird way, he actually owes Honda for trying to kill him, since he lacks the cash and raw power to survive alone right now. He is grinding as a porter on Mount Jiri to level up. Just then, his boss asks him who he thinks is the strongest out of the elite party they are escorting. Tiju is stumped and cannot really answer. So the boss points out that the swordswoman, Lee Hanol, is a regular rank. She looks young, sure, but her skills are supposedly off the charts. Being a regular rank means she is a whole tier above a beginner like Indong, much more powerful. But Tiju notices something off. There is a strange distortion in her mana flow. Suddenly, she collapses to the ground, shocking the entire group. And someone spots a mutant mosquito flying out of her body. The boss screams a warning to the party, do not let those things get a single bite. Tiju is confused why everyone is panicking over a bug, but right then, the team mage tells everyone to back off and let her handle this little pest herself. She fires off a massive fireball that streaks through the air, erupting in a violent explosion when it finally hits the target. Tiju turns to his boss, asking why an ordinary mosquito is causing such a massive scene, only to learn these things are lethal, because one bite can temporarily wipe out and awaken his mana. In the worst cases, victims just black out, exactly like Lee Hanol. Entire parties have been wiped out by these bugs before. The boss explains that it makes total sense for the group to be this terrified. Tiju realizes there is a poison in Tang's memories that sounds exactly like this boss's description. So he decides to test his poison spirit art on Hanol while she is down. He places his hand on her stomach to investigate the source of the toxin. Meanwhile, a party member is already begging the leader to retreat since they do not have bug-proof suits for this mission. It looks like the entire area is infested with these mutant mosquitoes. The boss agrees to pull back since Hanol has fainted and she was clearly the heavy hitter of the team. Suddenly, a loud rustling sound comes from behind them, and the team leader tells his men to get ready for battle. All right, you and I are starting off with a long-tailed rabbit. Usually, these guys are at the bottom of the food chain, just test subjects for clinical trials. The team leader just laughs it off. He can't believe they were actually getting all worked up over a tiny, harmless rabbit. But right as he turns around to tell everyone to chill out, both his head and his friend's head are sent flying in the absolute blink of a terrified eye. The mage loses it, watching in horror as her teammates collapse onto the dirt. It's an orc ambush. Deadly. Realizing they're in way over their heads, she knows this situation is about to get bloody. She screams for the survivors to run while she tries to buy some time. Meanwhile, Tiju is completely distracted, busy checking out the girls' system. He tells his boss to get lost. He's staying behind to help the mage out of this mess. His boss tries to talk some sense into him. He has zero chance in a fight like this. They're surrounded. The orcs have them completely outnumbered and outmatched. But Tiju isn't budging. He has to step in, no matter the risk. He hoists Hanol onto his shoulders and tells his boss to take her and bolt. The boss still tries to argue. But Tiju shuts him down. There is literally no time left. He needs to go now. Tiju promises he's just going to provide some simple, light support from the sidelines. His boss finally flees, shouting that he'll be back with help. With the others gone, Tiju realizes these orcs aren't just mindless beasts. They're actually organized. While the mage fights for her life, she spots a stray orc charging straight for Tiju. She forces her focus away from her own battle to save him. She throws up a firewall to protect him, but that leaves her back wide open to an orc. Tiju casually yells for her to duck, but the monster is already in mid-swing. She's totally confused by his weird timing. Now, stick with me because we're heading to the celestial realm. Tang is reflecting on his first month in the heavens, all thanks to that fateful meeting with our boy Tiju. He finally achieved that ascension he'd been chasing his entire life. But honestly, major disappointment. This celestial realm is kind of a dump. It's basically a fancy prison where immortals just waste time. He's already sick of watching these legendary figures acting like a bunch of entitled babies. He calls them classless beasts. Did he really waste all those years just to end up here? Still, he's glad he met Tiju. That connection was the only thing that actually gave him a shot at reaching this place. They basically share the exact same soul. Tang became an absolute martial arts legend, while poor Tiju just got treated like total garbage. Since his legacy now lives through the kid, Tang really hopes Tiju finds a bit of happiness. Tang calculates that Tiju needs to hit 7 stars if he ever wants to stand above Earth's strongest men. Until then, Tang hopes he levels up fast. If fate is kind, maybe they'll cross paths again, and you know what? He's already brainstorming some insane new techniques to teach the kid for their next reunion. He's right in the middle of this deep meditation when some immortal swordsman whacks him in the head. Tang drops everything and chases after the guy, screaming that he's going to end him. Back on Earth, Tiju sees that the mage is stuck. She can't move in time. So he finally makes his move. He launches himself forward, aiming to take out that orc before it can touch her. But he actually ends up knocking her out by accident. Now, watch this, Tiju decides it's time to show off. He starts hurling coins at a totally blinding speed. Shockingly, the orcs can't even react to his projectiles before they are completely wiped out by a single strike. Teju is pretty satisfied with the result, but now he is stuck wondering what to do with the female mage he accidentally knocked cold while saving her. Around the same time, he's actually glad she's out cold, because you and I know there's no benefit to his true strength being discovered yet. He realizes it would look incredibly suspicious if a lowly porter was caught single-handedly taking down a whole squad of orcs. And word of this feat could easily reach his father's ears. Teju knows he needs to disappear from the scene immediately before any other hunters or witnesses arrive. Teju cracks a smile because he never expected to have these kinds of concerns when just 1 month ago he was nothing but a total mana reject. He has to admit it, meeting Tang completely flipped his entire world upside down. He pulls out his pouch, aiming to collect all his coins before anyone else happens to show up. As he gathers the currency, he realizes what a hassle this is, having to manually track down and grab every single coin one by one. Worse yet, he has to consider the manufacturing costs, since throwing away his ammunition after every single battle is really going to add up. Apparently, he'll be able to recall his weapons automatically once he finally reaches the rank of the 7th star, which means he definitely needs to find a way to accelerate his growth quickly. Once he finishes collecting the ones scattered across the forest floor, he notices that there is still 1 coin missing from his stash. Luckily, he remembers the trajectory and starts tracking it, soon finding the missing piece deeply embedded in a nearby tree. While pulling it out, he spots one of those mutant mosquitoes and immediately snatches it out of the air using his aura. Based on the research he conducted earlier, it turns out that once the mosquito's toxin begins circulating through a person's system, internal energy scatters. For any awakened person, their mana temporarily vanishes, and it's exactly as he suspected. The insect's venom is almost identical to the energy scattering poison found back in the Murim world. But this version is even worse because in this world, it's considered a lethal toxin with no known cure. Sadly, every hunter is forced to wear heavy protective gear simply because there is no antidote available. Tiju believes he can use Tang's ancient knowledge to craft a medicine similar to an antidote if he can just decode the venom's exact composition. To pull this off, he needs to find earth herbs with properties similar to those in the Murim world. To find out, he has no choice but to consume the mosquito, and without a second thought, he swallows the bug whole. As the mosquito goes down his throat, he breathes a sigh of relief because the makeup is a match, and if he can just find the right herbs nearby, he'll finally be able to manufacture a cure. Teju grins because he just stumbled onto a massive payday that is going to be incredibly profitable for him. Teju can't wait to head back home so he can start testing this out. But then, a massive shadow looms over him, an elite orc so terrifying it sends a cold shiver straight down his spine. The orc glares down at Teju and growls out the words, "Kill human." This just makes things weirder because not only is this monster huge, but it can actually speak. Teju realizes he has just encountered the deadly awakened version of a magic beast. Teju is now certain that something very strange is happening on this mountain, since these orcs aren't even supposed to be in this sector. Alright, watch as Teju gets caught off guard when the massive orc swings his axe. The monster pulls its weapon back, carving a massive crater into the earth that sends pure terror through Teju. This beast is easily expert rank, or higher, judging by that insane, overwhelming power. Teju worries his strikes might not even leave a scratch, so he starts things off with a quick probing attack. He flings coins at the orc's head, aiming for blood, but they disintegrate instantly, confirming his fears about its defense. His dagger burst technique is useless here since it scatters the damage too much. Only one option left, the blood seal poison palm strike. The orc lets out a deafening roar, sending chills down his spine, causing him to hesitate for a moment. He feels like a coward for hesitating when it matters most. He's doubting himself just because he couldn't win in one move. Ashamed, he knows Tang would be completely disappointed to see him acting like this. He got too cocky after wiping out those weaker orcs so easily. Just then, Teju summons his courage, vowing to fight until the end. He charges with a poison palm while the orc readies a killing blow. The massive axe blocks Teju's path, and he pushes through, causing a massive, earth-shaking explosion. He only manages to crack the axe, unable to land even a single scratch. Everything is stacked against him, but he refuses to back down now. He plans to strike again and again until he finally finds a weak spot. Out of nowhere, a blade appears and shreds the orc like wet paper. Teju is completely stunned. Anyone who can drop an elite orc that easily is a total monster. That figure nearby must be at least master rank. He hates that he didn't escape before the stranger arrived. He is frantically searching for an excuse when the man calls him a punk and asks if he killed the orcs. The stranger notes no face mark, meaning he's no Awakener, yet he somehow wiped out an entire pack of monsters. Teju stands there frozen, having no idea how to respond. Apparently, this is Lee Yunhyuk, the Nagaden Guild master and high-ranking city official. He speaks with authority, so Teju knows he must choose his next words carefully. He starts by thanking him, but his boss arrives and cuts him off. The boss is relieved he's safe, and Teju gives all credit to Yunhyuk, saying he arrived just in time. The boss turns around, suddenly realizing they are actually talking about Yunhyuk. Yunhyuk brushes off his own question and tells the cleanup crew to clear the trash. Teju's boss explains to him that since this is a free city, it is run by an autonomous committee, not the imperial family. Turns out, Yunhyuk is one of the 3 standing members, who holds voting rights and leads the Nagaden Guild in charge of security. Plus, he is a master rank awakener. Porters like them pay his guild for safety. Yunhyuk immediately snaps at the guy to watch his damn mouth. Once he leaves, the boss warns Teju to never get on that man's bad side. Teju is shocked to get such a serious warning. Is this guy really that much of a nightmare? His boss explains that Jung isn't just some captain. He takes bribes from criminals to look the other way. Those patrols, they are mostly just public relations stunts to keep up his reputation. He was only in a rush because he bumped into him. That's why he called Teju. Otherwise, he would have called someone else. Master Awakeners are basically walking natural disasters. So yeah, staying on Jung's good side is an absolute must. The boss suggests they pack up and get out of there. Teju agrees. But deep down, he is shaken. He could have died if Jung had stepped in earlier. It has been a month since his run-in with Tang, and he is frustrated by his progress. He is furious at Himself, he got arrogant just for taking down a few low-level awakeners. After beating himself up over it, he finally makes a major decision. Things are about to change from this moment. He is going to become truly powerful, so this never happens to him again. Fast forward 1 month, Taeju is surveying the city. The infrastructure is solid, sure, but it is still lacking. Especially when it comes to the hospitals. Real doctors won't come here, only sketchy runaways do. So people avoid them. Because of that, pharmacies are the real lifesavers here. Pharmacists here can actually prescribe drugs approved by the Food and Drug Administration. Since then, business is booming. Proven meds beat a sketchy hospital. It just makes way more sense. That is why Taeju developed a mutant mosquito antidote. He is here to sell it. He has been grinding for the last month, working as a porter by day and gathering ingredients by night. Not only that, he's training hard. Crafting these antidotes takes insane, delicate control. Reaching the 3rd star of the poison spirit art was absolutely essential for his growth. He finally pulled it off. Now, he's certain that nobody is going to push him around anymore. Plus, if this massive deal actually works out, he can stop worrying about his empty bank account forever. Taeju is dead certain he has finally discovered a golden ticket to getting rich. With a plan in mind, he heads into Beck's drugstore and walks straight up to the counter. The clerk starts her usual sales pitch about their inventory, but he is not listening at all. Taeju cuts her off immediately. He's here to see the boss and only the boss. The poor clerk is left looking totally confused by his demand. He makes it clear he is not there to buy anything, he is actually there to sell. She laughs him off, but a man from the back pipes up, "Meet the owner, Beck Hong." Taeju gets straight to the point. He is here to sell a medicine he made himself. Beck isn't impressed. To him, Taeju looks like just another desperate street peddler with a gimmick. He shuts him down immediately. He is not interested and suggests that Taeju just leave. If he's so desperate for cash, Beck suggests he go find some manual labor like everyone else. That's when Taeju reaches into his bag and pulls out a single small bottle. His claim, it's an antidote for the deadly mutant 3-striped mosquito. Beck's ears perk up instantly. He can't believe his ears. He asks Taeju to repeat that. Without a single hint of doubt, Taeju confirms exactly what is inside the bottle, explaining that it is a simple potion you take orally. Plus, you can even drink it in advance. The protection lasts for 10 full hours. Beck loses it. He screams at Taeju to stop playing around with such insane prank claims. Taeju doesn't even blink. He just sets 2 more bottles right down on the table. "Test them yourself," he tells him. "Contact me if you're actually interested in a deal." But there's a catch. He only has until midnight. Taeju leaves his info and walks out. But on that piece of paper, he used the fake name Hyun-soo to hide his real identity. He's staying off the grid. He warns Beck that if he doesn't hear back by the deadline, he's taking the product to the competition. A massive guy and a powerful awakener. Park Jin-soo watched the whole exchange. He asks Beck if he actually trusts a kid like that. Turns out, this huge guy is a total potion addict who knows his stuff. Without wasting a single second, he snatches up one of the bottles Taeju left behind. Beck grunts. There is only one way to see if that kid is a genius or a fraud. Honestly, Beck isn't holding his breath. Even the Empire's elite pharmaceutical firms failed at this because the process is famously difficult. Still, something about Taeju's absolute confidence makes Beck wonder if there is more to this kid. Before Beck can even react, Park downs the whole bottle, claiming someone had to step up and do the field testing. Beck calls him a total junkie, who drinks a mystery potion without any kind of laboratory testing. But then, Park looks totally disappointed. He says it just tastes like plain water, nothing special or medicinal about it at all. Beck is taken completely aback by this. He reminds Park that he's a potion expert. Does he feel even a tiny spark of medicinal energy? Park shakes his head. He's had every potion under the sun, and he's feeling absolutely nothing. Park is pretty sure he should have felt some kind of energy surge after drinking that antidote. Park tosses the bottle into the trash, muttering that he got his hopes up for nothing. He tells Beck to dump the rest because Taeju is a total scammer. This leaves Beck wondering if Taeju really lied. He stares at the remaining bottles sitting inside the medicine box in his hands. Right then, Park reveals he is heading out on a frog hunt, while grabbing the supplies he needs. Beck throws the other bottles and Taeju's contact info straight into the garbage. Beck is totally disappointed in the whole situation, even berating himself for actually believing that Taeju could have developed a real mosquito antidote. Later that day, Park and his men are seen struggling against a pack of monster weasels. His team suggests a retreat since they've already been poisoned by lethal mosquito venom. Park agrees, but tells them to hold on until he takes down the monster right in front of him. Park, the team's tank, stands firm behind his shield, aiming to hold out against these annoying monsters. Suddenly, mutant mosquitoes land on his skin. He starts to panic if he gets bitten. The venom will stack up, his mana will scatter, and total paralysis will set in. He knows his team will be wiped out if he passes out, as he is their only strong anchor. To make matters worse, his shield is already weakening. He wonders if he has been poisoned by the mosquitoes. Park can't figure out how it all went wrong. They knew they were entering a mosquito-infested area, which is exactly why they even wore those bug-repellent suits. However, the annoying blade-tooth weasels appeared out of nowhere in what was supposed to be frog-hunting grounds. Attacks from the weasels shredded their suits, leading to the team leader doing exactly what he shouldn't and getting hit while distracted. After being bitten by the mosquitoes, they actually tried to retreat. But the weasels blocked their escape, leaving them no choice but to fight for their lives. Park desperately hopes he can kill the beast in front of him and lead everyone to safety. But suddenly, the worst-case scenario happens. Out of nowhere, a weasel lunges and shatters his shield with its blade-like tail. This leaves him totally exposed. But then he realizes that only the shield reinforcement actually broke. He has not lost any strength, and his mana is still perfectly intact. He finally remembers taking that weird little antidote. And by the look of things, it appears that it might actually be real. He pushes aside all distracting thoughts to focus. If the antidote works, he has a real chance. He whips out his giant blade and leaps toward the weasel with newfound confidence. Later that night, Park rushes over to Beck's drugstore, screaming Beck's name and demanding to know how much that morning's antidote cost, because he needs to buy everything. Sometime later, Taeju is seen walking through the city market, where he sees all kinds of things on display. Having lived in Paju his whole life, seeing the market in Gyuri really changes his perspective. Taeju is just glad to be taking a day off because he totally pushed his limits making that antidote, absorbing a ton of nasty poisons. Now, he just needs some downtime to rest and digest all that toxic sludge. But before he clocked out, he managed to ink a major deal with Beck. Beck was practically shaking with excitement as they prepared to sign the official contract. He tells Taeju this medicine is going to completely flip magic beast hunting on Mount Jiri. Beck almost puts his foot in his mouth by admitting he thought Taeju was a total lunatic when he first showed up. Taeju is like, wait, what exactly do you mean by that? But Beck pivots fast, covering his tracks to ask Taeju how many bottles he actually has ready. Taeju drops a bombshell, 60,000 bottles. Beck wonders what happens if they sell out instantly. Taeju keeps it cool. He can pump out way more without breaking a sweat, and Beck eagerly slides over the contract. Beck lists the official production cost at 10,000 won per unit. Each bottle will retail for 50,000 won, and that price even covers the legal stuff, like handling all the drug approvals and patent paperwork for Taeju. Taeju is internally screaming because his actual cost is less than 100 won per bottle. He plays it cool, admitting the price point is actually pretty solid. He tells Beck that with 60,000 bottles ready to go, they are looking at 3 billion won. Beck reminds him to subtract the 10% tax, leaving a clean 2.7 billion won. Taeju is actually stunned that the tax is only 10%, Man, this city really is a free-for-all. But then, Taeju suggests a completely different way. He offers Beck a sweet 1-year exclusive deal instead of just a standard partnership. He will supply the antidote for only 35,000 won per bottle. Beck is floored. He tells Taeju he really doesn't need to slash the price that much for him. Taeju just smiles and says he heard. That Beck runs an orphanage. Rumor has it he is basically the father to every orphan around. He also knows that Beck uses shop profits to keep that orphanage running, so Taeju just wants to help lighten the load. But there's a catch. He needs Beck to provide a secure workshop where he can mass-produce the antidote in peace. Beck is practically crying happy tears as he promises he has the perfect spot ready for him. And just like that, they shake and sign the legendary deal. With the contract signed and a fat advance in his pocket, Taeju decides to finally take a break. He heads straight to the famous Guri market to hunt for some high-end gear. While browsing, he gets cornered by this sketchy bald guy asking if he is looking for a new weapon. Taeju is just confused. He is like, "Are you seriously trying to sell to me right now?" The guy nods, pointing toward his shop tucked just around the corner. He promises Taeju that his shop has absolutely everything a hunter could ever dream of. He even promises a special handsome guy discount just to sweeten the deal. Taeju is totally creeped out and tries to brush him off, saying he is fine. He insists he is not interested and really does not need anything. But as he turns to leave, the guy grabs him, begging him to just take one quick look. He swears it is totally free, just to browse and see the goods. The guy keeps rambling weird stuff, telling Taeju to just follow him. He claims his place is a paradise filled with nothing but dreams and romance. Taeju is actually starting to freak out here. This guy is supposed to be a simple blacksmith, but his grip strength is just on another level. He's getting dragged along like a rag doll, even though he's already reached the 3rd star. It leaves him wondering, is this guy actually some kind of legendary master craftsman? A few moments later, they finally arrive at the man's workshop. Taeju is instantly blown away by the incredible weapons scattered all around the shop. He asks point-blank if the man really forged all of these himself. The smith confirms it with a grin, boasting that he's easily the best in the entire city. Taeju activates his observation eyes to get a closer look at the gear. It's official, the guy wasn't bluffing. These weapons are the real deal. It's a classic lesson learned. You really can't judge a book by its cover in this world. Now that he knows the smith is legit, it's time to talk business. He pulls out a sketch to show exactly what he needs, asking if he can forge 100 of them. The blacksmith takes a look and recognizes them immediately as willow leaf flying daggers. But he's skeptical. They seem way too small to be used as effective throwing knives. He looks at Taeju and asks if he's actually planning to wield these himself. He explains that if Taeju wants them to actually do damage, they'll need to be forged from expensive mana steel. Taeju cuts to the chase and asks if he can actually pull it off. He says yes, but warns Taeju that it'll take quite a while since he's currently short on materials. He asks if Taeju is okay with the wait, and Taeju agrees before asking the most important question, the price. The blacksmith crunches the numbers and reveals the total, 250 million won. But he tells Taeju he only needs a 10% deposit today. Taeju knew this wouldn't be cheap, but still. That's a steep price for 100 hidden weapons meant for single use. Taeju just tells the guy not to sweat it. Money isn't going to be an issue. He assures the smith that he's prepared to pay for the entire order right then and there. He leaves his address and tells the smith to send over the first sample once it's finished. Then, he heads out. With weapons secured, Taeju decides that the next thing on his checklist has to be some high-quality armor. He realizes he needs a very specific kind of outfit. It needs to be something that lets him sew in tons of pockets for his poisons and hidden weapons, just like Tang. He imagines himself wearing a traditional robe, just like Tang. But he kills that idea immediately. Walking around like that today would just be way too embarrassing. So the best option is definitely to stick with a more modern style. As Taeju is weighing his options, he's suddenly approached by a persistent salesperson. She happens to work for Flame Boutique and has an offer for him. She mentions they just dropped a new line of magical beast leather armor, including some high-end coats on display today. She invites Taeju to come and take a look at their latest stock. Taeju takes the catalog from her to see what these coats are all about. He sees that it's a high-quality coat crafted from magical beast leather. This might actually work perfectly as a modern alternative to a traditional long robe. Meanwhile, let's follow these two ladies on their tram tour of the city as they spot a massive castle looming in the distance. That fortress is strictly reserved for the elite. Only the rich and powerful get inside. Apparently, the only way to reach the castle is by boat, since all the bridges are currently locked down. The girl with the gray hair is Jeong Yoonhui, the prestigious heir to the massive Baekdu group. She also happens to be a top-tier cadet at the military academy. She is definitely not a fan of how the elite hide behind their walls for safety. Standing right beside her is her loyal assistant with the bright orange hair, who wonders if they really traveled all this way just to buy one fox leather coat. But as Yoonhui explains, this is not just any material. We're talking about authentic Siberian illusion fox leather. These creatures are incredibly rare, with a tiny population. And since they are so hard to hunt, the leather is legendary. This armor offers top-tier defense while staying cool in the summer and cozy during freezing winters. The assistant is absolutely stunned by all those specs. And she totally agrees that a material this rare is worth any price you pay. That is when she remembers the special black card her grandfather sent over, telling her she can spend the money however she wants. But Yoonhui shuts that down instantly. She is strictly using her own cash. No surprise there, since Yoonhui is already famous for being fiercely and totally independent. A few moments later, their tram pulls into the stop at Garai Market. Everyone is told to head out, and our two leads step onto the platform. Yoonhui suggests that they head straight for the boutique. She wants to see that leather in person without wasting any more time. At that exact same moment, Taeju finds his way to the boutique, and as he walks inside, he spots a redhead shopkeeper currently helping out Yoonhui and her secretary. He speaks up to announce his arrival, mentioning he was sent here from the street. The shopkeeper asks Yoonhui for just 1 second to assist the newcomer. But the secretary is already panicking that Taeju might steal their precious fox coat. The redhead approaches to welcome him, but then she suddenly freezes in shock. She definitely recognizes him, even though Taeju has absolutely no idea who she is. So she quickly explains that she was the mage fighting alongside him when orcs attacked 1 month ago. It finally clicks for Taeju, and he asks what a mage is doing in a boutique. Turns out, working the shop is actually her main full-time gig. And she only hunts monsters as a side hustle when she has free time. She tells Taeju she is thrilled to finally find him because she has been searching everywhere. Taeju gets nervous and turns to leave, wondering aloud why on earth she would be tracking him down. He mentions how much she suffered on that dangerous mission. But since she looks so healthy now, he suggests she just keep it that way. See, Taeju actually let her take all the credit for killing those orcs just to hide his power. He knew there was a risk she would figure it out once she woke up. And he was totally ready to skip town if things got messy. He thinks his best bet is to vanish before she starts grilling him about the details. But right as he moves, she grabs him and begs him to wait. She asks Taeju if he is the real savior, because the Nagadan Guild thought she just passed out from mana exhaustion after taking down the orcs. She realized Taeju was the one who fed them that story. So she basically just decided to play along. The mage looks Taeju in the eye, admitting she doesn't know why he helped, but she is deeply thankful. She explains that without his intervention, she never could have recovered the remains of her leader and lover. Tears start falling as she pours out her gratitude to him. Our main character stands there completely lost, having absolutely no idea how to handle a woman crying like this. He remembers saving her, of course. But it wasn't out of kindness. He just wanted a live target to test his new techniques on. He awkwardly tells the mage to get a grip while secretly questioning if he even deserves this thanks. The mage realizes she is making things weird and quickly apologizes to him. Suddenly, Yoon-hee's secretary starts yelling, asking how much longer she plans on wasting their precious time. The lady turns around to apologize. Then, she unexpectedly drops to her knees. She bows low to Yoon-hee, declaring that she simply cannot sell the coat to her anymore. This sets the secretary off. They already took all the measurements for this custom order. All that was left was the payment. Now she is just backing out. The woman acknowledges how far Yoon-hee traveled just to get her hands on this specific coat. She knows exactly how much stress Yoon-hee endured. But this silver fox coat is just too precious. She would have sold it minutes ago. However, she just found a much better use for it. Yoon-hee is stunned into silence. The mage promises to pay her back for the trouble, bowing once more in deep apology. The secretary is about to explode. But Yoon-hee stops her cold, calmly stating that it is finally time for them to go. Her assistant can't believe it since she knew how badly Yoon-hee wanted it. Yoon-hee just shakes her head. She accepts the choice because the mage has found a new purpose. As they walk away, Taeju feels guilty, worrying he just ruined a deal with a very important customer. But the mage insists she is the one at fault. Confused, Taeju asks why she suddenly canceled the sale. The lady stares at him in disbelief. She asks if anyone has mentioned he is a bit slow, naturally. He says no, since she is the first person to ever call him dumb. The mage can't wrap her head around how he hasn't connected the dots yet. She has to spell it out. She is giving him the coat, leaving him totally shocked. He asks her what she means. She explains this silver fox coat is his reward for saving her life that day. Taeju immediately tries to refuse it. He admits he didn't save her for any noble reason, it just happened. She counters that his reasons don't matter, her life was saved, and that is a debt. She tells him that if he feels bad, he should just keep saving people so others don't lose their loved ones. Our Taeju is completely stunned. It is the first time in his entire life that he's received such heartfelt gratitude from anyone. Since the very beginning, he's always been met with hate and criticism, so he was already used to the cold shoulder. Even if he wasn't trying to be a hero, Taeju realizes he actually loves the feeling that comes from someone showing him appreciation. Taeju tells the mage he'll take the coat if she insists, and she's clearly relieved. She heaves a massive sigh of relief before telling him it is finally time to get his measurements. Meanwhile, up in the celestial realm, the legendary swordsmanship master, Dongbin Xian, is absolutely dying from boredom. He's sick of everyone wearing the same robes every day while sporting identical hair and white beards. The others can't believe Dongbin is complaining about a look that he's just as guilty of. However, Dongbin notices that Tang is different. He's the only one who truly stands out in this crowd. Apparently, Tang gave himself a fresh haircut, claiming it's a style from an entirely different world. He even trimmed his beard and crafted clothes that Dongbin had never seen before. Lately, Tang has been strutting around in modern coats, leaving the others to wonder exactly where he's getting his fashion inspiration. Since Dongbin is bored to tears, he thinks about asking Tang for a makeover. If he changes his clothes, things might just be less dull. Two crazy guys always sound more fun than one. Once his mind is made up, he decides it's time to meet with Tang, and he is convinced that once he gives Tang a rare celestial peach, they will be the best of friends. Back at Beck's orphanage, the secret vault has been transformed into Taeju's personal high-tech manufacturing chamber. He just finished another batch of antidote when Beck calls, and Taeju assures him the current supply is ready. Beck is beyond relieved to hear this, revealing they are already almost out of stock. He asks Taeju when he can send more. Taeju is shocked that Beck already needs another batch because he just sent one yesterday. Beck explains that word of the medicine's power has spread, and people are rushing in to buy. In fact, even as they speak, the entire store is in total chaos as Awakeners scramble over each other to get the antidote. Beck reveals that some are even hoarding the stuff, which has caused the stock to vanish instantly. Taeju tells Baek to make a formal announcement. He needs to tell them supply is steady, so there's no need to panic, while setting a strict 2-bottle limit. Baek agrees to the plan, but he's also clearly worried about something else entirely. He warns Taeju that since the drug is so popular, copycats will likely appear sooner than they expected. Taeju assures Baek that everything's fine. Knockoffs might show up eventually, but right now, he's confident it's impossible to copy. He mentions they can always pivot and sell a different type of medicine if fakes ever appear. Deep down, he knows no one can replicate his cure because it's brewed with the poison's spirit. Baek then tells Taeju he'll try to manage the sales volume, but begs him to keep the supply flowing. Before hanging up, Taeju asks about the packaging machine. Boxing these things up takes way more time than making them. In fact, he has already packed 20,000 bottles that day. Apparently, Taeju has been stuck grinding production for a whole week, so he hasn't even been home yet. Baek then promises him that he is going to speed things up. Later on, 2 kids from the orphanage head toward the vault because they are convinced a ghost is haunting their old secret base. The boy tells the girl that he is going to kick out the jerk who stole their hideout. Suddenly, the vault door creaks open, and out comes a thick, foul smell. Taeju steps out with the packages and gives the kids a friendly smile, greeting them. But the kids freak out and run off screaming they met a smelly ghost. Taeju is totally confused why they are calling him a ghost when he is just a normal guy. Even if he hasn't bathed all week. He does not think he smells that bad. Then he remembers that he is supposed to meet with his porter boss, Mr. O. Taeju thinks about bathing first, but he is worried that it might make him run late. He is weighing his options when Baek's daughter suddenly shows up on the scene. The 2 kids are right behind her, hiding from Taeju because they think he is a smelly ghost. The lady says she heard from her father that he is the one working on the antidote, and Taeju confirms it while introducing himself. He asks her who she is, and she reveals that her name is Baek Soyoung from the orphanage. She mentions the kids were gossiping about a ghost in the basement, so she came down to check. Plus, she has a package for him. Taeju takes the delivery and realizes it is the sample from the blacksmith. He thanks Soyoung for her help, since the package arrived at the perfect time. Soyoung covers her nose while telling Taeju to stay on good terms with her father, while suggesting he use the shower room on the first floor before he leaves. Soyoung tells the kids that it is time to head out, but the kids make sure to tell Taeju to wash up. After they are gone, Taeju checks the sample first since he has been looking forward to the willow leaf daggers. He opens the box and finds a small note tucked inside with the daggers. It is from the blacksmith, urging Taeju to give him some feedback after testing the daggers. The guy writes in such a romantic way, showing his creepy side again, so Taeju just angrily trashes the note. After he finishes tearing the note apart, he inspects the dagger and is glad it looks decent, being both sharp and solid. Taeju throws it to get a feel for it, and he confirms that the weight and grip are perfect. Since the daggers turned out great, Taeju cannot wait to see how the coat looks. Apparently, the mage had told him that she was going to give him the coat for free, promising to send it once it was finished. However, Taeju plans to pay since he actually has the money now. Realizing he is already running late, he decides to move fast. But then he remembers that he needs to pay for it first. Not long after this, Taeju makes it to Mount Jirisan, where he meets up with O and the rest of the crew already waiting. He offers a quick apology for being late, wondering if they have been standing around for long. But O reassures him he is right on time, as the rest of the group just pulled up too. O is just thankful Taeju could show up on such short notice. Taeju tells him not to sweat it. After all, O has helped him out plenty in the past. Small favors like this are nothing. Suddenly, a party member named Jang Wonjun cuts in with a nasty attitude, calling him a lowly porter and demanding he apologize properly for his supposedly late arrival. Taeju shoots back, telling Wonjun he is crossing a line. He arrived on time, so watch the tone. There is zero reason for him to be saying sorry to anyone. This makes Wonjun lose it. How dare a mere porter talk back to a seasoned hunter like him? He threatens to slice Tiju up. But Tiju is already reaching his limit, picturing exactly how he would end this guy. He realizes why he is here. The original porters likely fled, leaving him as the last-minute replacement. Right then, Oh leans in and whispers, telling Tiju to just ignore the jerk. There is way too much money involved to let this deal fail. Tiju bites his tongue, which only makes Wonjun think he is terrified of the blade. He thinks he won the exchange. Despite the burning anger inside, Tiju decides to play along and offers a cold apology. The leader tells Wonjun to drop it, they have work to do. He dismisses Tiju as a total waste of time. Wonjun walks away, mocking him, telling Tiju he should be glad he didn't taste his steel today. Oh checks in, asking if Tiju is okay and apologizing for the hostile environment. But Tiju just nods, he is fine for now. Suddenly, Tiju spots a massive problem. There are only 7 people for a raid that usually takes 15. He has to speak up. The team is way too small for a dangerous mission like this. Even with the new mosquito antidote reducing the need for numbers, this seems like a suicide mission. Questioning them like that sets Wonjun off again. He asks Tiju if he is literally begging for death now. Tiju keeps it cool, explaining he is just looking out for the porter's safety, people like him. He makes it clear, if the raid is not safe, he is not taking another step. Wonjun is fuming. He wonders why a dead man walking thinks he has any right to complain. That specific phrase sets off a massive alarm in Tiju's head. Something is wrong. Wonjun threatens to finish him right there. But the team leader, Kwon Dongseok, finally steps in. He reminds Wonjun that if the porter dies, nobody is left to carry their heavy gear. Still, he warns Tiju to shut his mouth. If he utters one more word, he will tear him apart and feed his remains to the local magical beasts. Kwon and Wonjun walk off, laughing at him, pure disrespect. At this point, Tiju marks them as dead. They have officially crossed a line they can't uncross. He could end them both right now with his new power, and the temptation is growing. A bit later, Kwon orders everyone to down the antidote. It is time to head into the danger zone. Oh offers one more apology, but Tiju tells him it is okay. He is used to it. Still, he asks again, are they really going in with such a small crew? Oh explains that. According to the intel he received, they are heading straight for the weasel hunting grounds. Historically, raids here were massive because those deadly mosquitoes were everywhere. But thanks to that antidote, now they can ditch the bulky bug suits and cut down on the team size. Oh admits he is feeling a little on edge. But with 2 rookies on the squad, he figures there is nothing to worry about. He hands Tiju a bottle of the antidote, explaining he brought a spare for him. Tiju takes the bottle and gives a quick thanks. Right then, it hits him. His new power is actually changing the entire world. He thinks back to the mage and her words about saving lives. Tiju realizes that, by making this antidote, he has saved thousands from certain death by those mosquitoes. It feels good to finally carry out her last wish. But his power has not just changed the world, it is changing him too. He has already nearly snapped twice, his bloodlust boiling over because of Woojin and his pathetic, trashy party members. He knows exactly why this is happening. It is Tang's personality. Tang is the kind of man who kills enemies instantly instead of letting them go. See, Tang possesses something known as the venomous heart. And after that whole soul-sharing incident, that darkness is now bleeding directly into Tiju's own sense of self. Honestly, he does not mind. He was way too weak to survive in this world before. Tiju turns to Oh and tells him to stick close during the fight. Now, imagine how shocked Oh is. Why would a powerless porter tell an awakener to hide behind him? Oh honestly thinks Tiju is just joking. But Tiju is dead serious. He has been sensing a chilling, dark vibe crawling out from the forest for a while now. There is a ferocious killing intent out there, and it is aimed straight at them. Back in the Murim era, Tang was hunting the traitors who had allied with the demonic cult. He had finally tracked down one of the collaborators. The guy begged for mercy, claiming it was a setup, but Tang was not in a listening mood. He knows this group slaughtered countless innocents just to produce their twisted, demonic blood pills. Absolute scum. Actually, see. The lightning demon, Jugashin, even sacrificed his own son. Tang is absolutely livid. He forces Jugi to his knees, before ending him with one devastating final blow. He tears him apart, swearing to send the rest of his allies to hell soon. Back on Mount Jiri, the group has successfully cleared out a pack of weasels. Woojin starts bragging about how incredibly easy these monsters are. Since they are not slowed down by those heavy suits, they are lightning fast. They have collected plenty of energy crystals, and Woojin is loving the haul. Naturally, he uses this moment to insult Tiju again. He claims they never needed a crowd, because their current team is more than enough. Then he mocks him, calling him a pathetic coward who is only fit to be a porter. Oh feels the rage radiating off Tiju and quickly steps in, tapping him on the chest. He just wants Tiju to back down so they can keep the peace. But Tiju is fuming. Woojin is acting tough only because of the antidote Tiju himself created. He stares at them, already marking them as dead men in his mind. Still, Tiju holds back. He refuses to waste his willow leaf daggers on pathetic trash like this group. The antidote works perfectly, letting the party take down a swarm of weasels without breaking a sweat. But Tiju watches silently, wondering how they will survive the true nightmare currently lurking in the shadows. Tiju leans in to warn Oh. Pay attention, because the real bloodbath is about to begin right now. Oh is completely lost. He asks Tiju what exactly is about to start. Tiju just shrugs, it is nothing much. Just a little something the locals fear most when they are out on this mountain. An ambush from a high-rank magical beast. Right on cue, a red-furred wolf emerges from the mist, looking absolutely terrifying. Cold sweat pours down Oh's face, but Tiju calmly tells him there is nothing to worry about. Oh is not buying it for a single second. He begs to retreat, knowing this monster usually takes an entire rank team just to stand a fighting chance. Dealing with one is a death sentence, but these monsters always hunt in pairs, male and female. 2 against a panicked team. Woojin tries to look brave, swinging his blade wildly at the first wolf that lunges. The beast dodges effortlessly. Terrified, Woojin screams for Kwon, asking him what the hell they should do. Without a word, Kwon bolts. He abandons his teammates and sprints into the dark forest. A party member clings to Woojin, sobbing that they are all dead meat now that Kwon left. Woojin snaps, shouting at her to shut up. He tells her they are going to handle this exactly like they always do. His plan is simple: use the porters as live bait for the wolves. It is how these cowards have always survived. Oh turns back to Tiju now. He needs proof. He cannot just trust some random words when his life is on the line. Tiju smirks. Fine, he will show him. He slowly draws a single lethal dagger from his belt, channeling his flying dagger art. The blade flies. It shears off Woojin's right ear before slamming into solid rock with enough force to cause a shockwave. Oh stands frozen in shock. Meanwhile, Tiju looks on. He makes it clear how much he despises Woojin and his crew. Total and absolute trash. That single throw did more than just cut an ear. It was a message of pure power. The blade nearly pinned the fleeing Kwon to the spot. Woojin blinks, realizing the wolf in front of him is already a corpse. He did not even see it happen. One dagger, it took the ear, killed the beast. And it even cut off Kwon's path for good measure. Oh stares at the carnage. He asks how Tiju could possibly drop a monster in one shot. The surviving wolf howls in agony over its fallen mate. But before it can even strike back, Tiju drops his aura like a mountain. He tells the beast to stay put if it wants to live. One wrong move and it is over. Tiju then turns his gaze toward the so-called awakeners. Is this how they always behave when things get tough? Woojin sneers back. He claims it is only natural for the weak to die so the strong awakened can survive. Tiju loves that answer. Trust me, you and I are going to enjoy what happens to Woojin next. With a casual leap, Tiju lands on a nearby rock to get a better view. He lets the remaining wolf loose on them. It is time for these awakeners to fight. Tiju just sits back to enjoy the show. He tells them to relax and enjoy the show. One wolf is already down, so this next one, easy work. Kwon, who also lost in ear, thinks Taeju is just joking around, asking if he really thinks he can toy with high-rank awakeners. But then, the lady in the group desperately begs Taeju to kill the wolf, promising him a massive fortune in return. Woojin just tells the lady to shut her mouth, calling her a worthless coward in his panic. Suddenly, a dagger whistles past, clipping his left ear and leaving him completely earless in a second. Taeju calmly says he has no use for those ears if he cannot even understand simple human speech. With a terrifying aura, Taeju reminds the Awakeners once again that he is just the porter and they are supposed to be the combatants, since they were so full of energy fighting those weasels earlier. Taeju expects to see that same level of excitement right now. Woojin asks if he really thinks they will obey him. And since they refuse to listen, he calmly lets them know that the wolf has other plans for them. Seeing the beast ready to strike, Woonjun tries to react, but before he can even blink, his head is ripped clean off his neck. Kwan thinks he is a big shot too, until the wolf descends and crushes him into the dirt. The others try to run, but the wolf finishes them off, after it is done with them. Oh notices the massive beast stalking closer, and screams for Taeju. Our hero realizes the beast is confident now after those easy kills. Taeju actually wanted to spare the wolf since he already showed it the massive gap in their power levels. But since things turned out like this, the wolf simply has to die. He lunges forward, slamming the beast into the ground with a deadly, explosive poison palm, causing a massive blast that rocks the entire area. Oh is frozen in shock. Taeju does not even have a rank marking. Yet he is this powerful, leaving him wondering why a god would work as a lowly porter. It finally clicks for Taeju was the one who destroyed those orcs before. He obviously used that mage as a cover just so he could hide his true strength. Taeju starts walking toward mentioning how refreshing it feels to use his power after being stuck, making antidotes for so long. Is paralyzed with fear, convinced he is next. The moment Taeju gets close to ask if he is okay, collapses, begging for his life. Taeju just laughs nervously, telling the guy he has absolutely no reason to kill him. Is stunned that he is safe. And Taeju helps him up, asking if he is hurt anywhere, which quickly and frantically denies. Since he is uninjured, Taeju says he has a favor to ask, and is ready to do anything. He starts to mention the bloodbath just saw. But interrupts, claiming he is legally blind and did not see a single thing. Happy with the cooperation, Taeju suggests they finally head back down the mountain. As they prepare to leave, Taeju figures the local beasts will clean up the mess, just like they do on Mount Seorak. Sure, he didn't pull the trigger himself, but lead them straight to hell. Taeju doesn't feel a single ounce of guilt. Actually, both his personalities agree. Those human trash piles got exactly what they deserved. Taeju is ready to put down anyone who hides behind the weak just to save their own pathetic skin, just like the Jug clan. A bit later, deep inside Guri Castle, where the YJ pharmacy calls the shots, a group of big shots is gathered for a very tense meeting. They are fuming because nobody is buying their meds since Beek launched that new antidote. President Nambaek of the Seji Pyong drugstore points out that while they practically own the city's pharmacy market, they can't touch Beek. Why? Because the Autonomy Committee is blocking them since he is busy feeding the city's orphans. Lee Gilho, the man running Nuri drugstore, thinks the whole charity thing is just a cheap act. But Nambaek tells him to quit whining and actually bring a real solution to the table. Jo Seok of YJ Pharmacy steps in, telling them to stop acting like children in every meeting. He suggests they stop the games and share their actual progress. They are all sinking together, after all. The truth is, they have all failed to replicate the antidote themselves. Nambaek claims they will crack the formula soon enough, saying it is only a matter of time. Gilho snaps back, screaming that they do not have the luxury of waiting for the future. They are staring bankruptcy in the face right now, and time is running out. That is when Seok tells them they will have to play dirty, using their usual brutal methods to get results. They won't let the autonomy committee stop them this time. Gilho grins. Now that is exactly the kind of ruthless plan he wanted to hear. He asks if the background check is already finished. And Seok fires up the projector, ready to reveal the secrets he has uncovered about their target. He drops the bomb. The genius behind the antidote is Taeju, Kim's eldest son. Since Kim is a brigadier general, Nambaek starts getting cold feet about hitting such a high-profile target. He is worried they might be punching way above their weight class here. But Seok reveals that the official records are all lies. The real dirt is buried much deeper. According to their spies in Paju, the truth is far less intimidating. Taeju is actually a mono reject. And he only ended up in the military because his family kicked him out. His birth mother is dead, and his father's new wife is a Japanese woman who wants nothing to do with him. Since Taeju has been completely cut off from his family, Nambaek plans to corner him first, certain that a massive pile of cash will buy his loyalty. After all, everyone has a price if the pile is high enough. And if he says no, then they go back to the old ways. Meanwhile, over at the Imperial Army base on Mount Jiri, the base commander finally receives the intel he has been waiting for. Apparently, the report from the Autonomy Committee is focused entirely on one person, Taeju. The commander is stunned to find out Taeju is actually General Kim's son. It seems they once tried to get a supply contract, but were turned away due to low stock. Under the Emperor's orders, they could not mess with Garai either, so they just dropped it. But this changes everything. With Taeju being Kim's son, they have a brand new lead. The commander is feeling pretty confident that everything will go smoothly. He is planning a massive cleanup on Mount Jiri, but he needs that antidote first to keep those insane magical beast waves in check. Since they are still officially father and son and haven't cut ties yet, the commander is sure getting that supply is a total done deal. Actually, this commander is Jin Hyung, a master-rank awakener and a high-ranking lieutenant general in the military. He orders his assistant to call Paju immediately. He needs a word with Brigadier General Kim. Moments later, Kim gets the call about his son's antidote production. Problem is, his wife is right there listening in. Honda starts acting like Taeju is suddenly a saint. She even suggests they grab plane tickets and fly down to Garai right now. She claims the kid has no street smarts and way too much cash on hand. Total scam bait. But Kim isn't having it. He tells her to stay away. She's stunned, but Kim doubles down. Taeju is officially off the family register. He is not their problem anymore. He left the nest for good. Honda pushes back. To her, that register is just paper. A blood bond is sacred, meaning they have still got a claim on him. Kim is done talking. He tells her to leave the boy alone, if she has even an ounce of conscience left. Honda freezes. Does he actually know? Is he onto the fact that she tried to have the kid killed? Still, she thinks she is in the clear. Indong is dead, so there is zero evidence that could ever point back to her. She starts screaming, demanding he make Taeju hand over the antidote. She is thinking this could be a big career move. A promotion is on the line if Kim can just talk some sense into his son. She is losing it, asking how much longer Kyushu can keep supporting them while they are struggling with their own problems. Even paying for Taepyeong and Teachin's tuition is becoming a total nightmare for them at the moment. Pure emotional blackmail here. She reminds him they are his kids too, but Kim just tells her to go talk to him herself. Fed up, she storms out of the room. Fine, he can do what he wants, but she is going to handle this her own way. Once she is gone, Kim finally exhales. He genuinely thought his son was actually dead. It had been months without a single word from him. But apparently, he has been living the good life down in Garth. He is just glad Taeju is making his remaining time count. Meanwhile, back at the Garai market, Taeju hits up the Flame Boutique. His 4 billion won custom coat is finally ready for pickup. He tries it on and the fit, absolutely perfect. It feels incredible to the touch. He thanks the mage, admitting that gear made from magical beast parts is on a whole different level. It is light as a feather, but the defense and temperature controls are top tier. He even thanks him for the gray dye job, much less flashy that way. But that is not all. Taeju is stunned by the spatial magic the mage worked into that coat. Talk about infinite storage. She admits the idea hit her while she was busy with the alterations. Seeing his arsenal, she correctly guesses he is an awakened specializing in stealth and undercover work. Taeju just laughs nervously. Honestly, what else could he even say to that? He insists on paying, though. He can't just take a masterpiece like this for free. But she refuses. Saving her life was payment enough, so she is happy to help. Taeju still feels bad. This whole situation is clearly quite awkward, since she gave him an item that another customer had already reserved. The mage tells him to relax. She already sent Yeonhee a replacement item to make up for it. Since she won't take his money, Taeju points to a whole section and asks to buy every single thing they have there. They are gifts for the orphanage kids, which helps them and boosts her sales at the same time too. It is a total win-win situation for everyone. Since he is being so persistent about it, she finally agrees and tells Taeju to give her a moment while she packs everything up for him. Walking away, she can't help but think about what a genuine guy Taeju really is. Right then, Seok walks in. Seems he has been hunting for our main character. He introduces himself properly and offers his business card directly to Taeju. Taeju isn't having it. His face is practically dripping with pure disgust. Seok figures the surprise visit is unwelcome. Taeju is just glad he finally got the hint. He demands to know what the guy wants and how he tracked him down. Seok brags about his reach. The association pharmacy apparently knows everything that goes on in the city. He decides to stop beating around the bush and get straight to the point. He wants that mosquito poison antidote supplied to his group, and he wants it now. Taeju just smiles. Is this a request for a favor or a straight-up threat? Seok claims it is a favor for now, but Taeju shuts him down immediately. Not interested. Seok keeps pushing, though. He offers to cover the cancellation fees and pay triple what Beek is currently giving him. Taeju refuses again. He is not about to become a dishonest snake for some cash. Seok won't quit. He offers 5 billion won for the entire formula instead. When offered 5 billion for the formula, Taeju asks if he would sell it that cheap if their positions were swapped. Now Seok is getting seriously annoyed about being rejected. He warns Taeju that life in Jurai might get very difficult if he keeps this up. Taeju isn't worried at all. He can handle whatever garbage this guy throws his way. When the mage finally comes back, Seok is long gone. She is confused because she thought she heard voices earlier. She was certain there was someone else in the shop. Taeju tells her not to worry about it. It was just some persistent peddler he already sent away. Meanwhile, Seok calls his associate to give the green light. It is time to start the operation and handle it exactly like they usually do. Later, at the outskirts where Taeju's mansion is under construction, Taeju arrives carrying a bunch of gift bags for the crew. Baek sees him and asks what he is lugging around. Taeju explains these are just some clothes for the kids, a small thanks for all of Baek's help. Baek is totally moved. He gives Taeju a massive hug, calling him a literal ray of sunshine. He promises never to forget that kindness, vowing to achieve even bigger things from here on out. Taeju is just happy he likes the results. And he thanks Baek for securing the building and overseeing the entire construction process. Then Taeju drops a hint. He might actually accept that proposal from earlier. Baek is shocked that Taeju has finally decided, but then Taeju reveals that Seok came to pay him a visit today. That meeting, it gave him the certainty he was looking for. Baek panics hearing about the run-in with Seok. He immediately asks if he got hurt. But Taeju brushes it off. It was just a little threat, nothing he couldn't handle. Still, it was a cold reminder of how the weak get crushed in this world. So he makes a move. He is going to build that pharmaceutical company Baek suggested earlier. And he needs Baek by his side to make it happen. Baek is all in. And Taeju tells him to wrap up construction while he prepares to go off-grid for a bit. He will be gone until the company is ready for its grand opening, focusing everything on developing groundbreaking new drugs. Now, let us talk about the chaos formless poison spirit art, the legendary Tang family technique. It fuses the clan's core, mental cultivation methods with 5 elements chi cultivation, drawing power from various martial arts across 10 distinct star levels. Stars 1 and 2 create poison essence, 3 and 4, that is for antidote production. 5 and 6 unleash poison energy, while 7 through 9 build the ultimate poison physique. Sword energy projection and hidden weapon recovery lead to the 10th star, poison spirit manifestation. Beyond that, you must awaken the poison spirit itself through pure enlightenment. Apparently, only a master of the poison spirit can trigger the secret 10,000 torrential petal rain move. The same move Tang used to melt the legendary ruler of the demonic cult. Back in reality, Tiju is grinding on Mount Jiri, hunting lethal poison monsters. He runs straight into a poison claw lynx, a beast as massive as a tiger. And it is so tanky, he nearly burns through his energy and all his weapons. Since he is currently only at the 3rd star, he calculates that he is currently somewhere between a second-rate and first-rate martial artist in this world. But Tiju is far from happy. To him, this level of power is just embarrassing. That is why he is holed up on this mountain, absorbing poison from magical beasts. He loots the poison sack from his latest kill, and wow, this thing is massive. With all of Tang's memories flooding his mind. Mastering poisons is second nature to him. As long as he keeps consuming new toxins, he knows his growth will be explosive. His body was slow to adapt for a while, keeping him stuck at the 3rd star. But now, his physical form has finally stabilized, breaking through to the next stage, absolute cakewalk. If he can just harvest the poison from that spore water deer, he will have more than enough power. Link's dead. Now, Tiju just needs to retrieve those expensive daggers he left behind. A moment later, he spots his target, the spore poison water deer. It looks like a peaceful, harmless beast, sporting 2 humps on its back just like a camel. But when he lops off the deer's head, we see exactly why people are terrified of this thing. When it dies, those humps burst open, exploding into a cloud of deadly, microscopic spores. Tiju is instantly surrounded. This poison is so potent, it actually melts through gas mask filters. It takes a full hour for the spores to vanish once they hit the open air. One touch and Tiju knows. This is easily the most lethal toxin he has ever faced in his life. But Tiju isn't running. He starts working immediately. Why let all this perfectly good poison go to waste? He focuses on condensing all that toxin. He draws the energy into his body, using his poison spirit art to refine it into raw internal power. He realizes this breakthrough will shoot him straight to the 4th star level. Hours pass, and he's still circulating his Kai, grappling with the sheer intensity of the poison. There is just so much of it. Turning this much concentrated venom into energy is a massive struggle. He starts to wonder if he got too greedy. But he is not panicking. He already understands how this toxin works on a fundamental level, which means brewing an antidote should be a piece of cake. It is clear now. Earth has a way more interesting variety of poisons than the martial world ever did. With this edge in his pocket, he will grow stronger faster than anyone. He is never going back to being that weakling again. After hours of grueling Kai circulation. Success, he finally hits the 4th star, feeling the immense power surging through his entire being. Standing up, Tiju realizes he has been stuck on this mountain for a pretty long time. It was all worth it. Not only did he hit the 4th star way ahead of schedule, but he secured the ingredients for the antidote. He decides it is finally time to head back home. Then it hits him. Things probably went sideways back there thanks to the YJ Pharmacy Group. Shortly after that, he walks back into his drugstore, only to find the entire place looking completely empty. At first, he thinks business has just been booming. Beck is relieved to see him after 2 whole weeks. He was terrified something happened since Tiju was not answering his phone. Tiju just brushes it off. His phone was dead because he was busy training and crafting an antidote. But then he notices Beck and his assistant look absolutely sick with worry. He has to ask what exactly is going on. Beck explains the news. The suppliers are cutting them off, no more deliveries, period. They even cleared out their existing stock. And it gets even worse than that. The Autonomy Committee's drug department is demanding their ingredient list, claiming they need to investigate possible side effects. Hearing this, Tiju's eyes narrow. He asks Beck if this is Seok's work. Beck isn't 100% sure yet. But this is exactly the kind of dirty play Seok uses whenever things aren't going his way. Turns out the guy is actually a member of that Autonomy Committee themselves. Tiju asks what happens if they refuse to hand over the secret ingredients. Beck's answer is grim. They could face a total sales ban. Tiju wonders if the official scent from the Empire is in on it too. It would explain why everyone is looking the other way. He realizes Seok is just getting started with his trashy tactics, exactly like the Juji clan used to do. But he's taking a page from Tang's book, Gotta Strike First. Tiju lays it all out for Beck, revealing their next move. The solution is simple: hit them first. It's time to send a message they won't forget anytime soon now. Beck is totally confused. Tiju reminds him that since the committee is claiming side effects, it's best they just stop selling it for now. He tells Beck to shut the shop down, effective immediately. Once the doors are locked, they head straight to the orphanage. Tiju brings out some rare deer meat for a feast. One taste, and he's basically having a full-on foodgasm right there. Turns out, this meat is legendary, hailed as the absolute best in the entire empire. Then Tiju realizes something. The Emperor's monopoly is real, mostly because nobody else knows how to remove the deadly poison. He's seriously glad he chose the water deer antidote to work on. Essentially, he originally just wanted to stop people from dying during the next wave of magical beasts. But with this flavor, one bite and anyone would become a complete slave to this meat. In fact, Beck and the kids love it so much that he's already planning a new meat business. He'll supply it to the Emperor, who's totally obsessed with this specific kind of meat. While he's at it, he can scout the man's swordsmanship. Rumor says he's reached the Grandmaster level. Once dinner is over, Beck thanks him for providing such incredible meat, still shocked the new antidote is actually for those terrifying water deer. He knows Tiju is brilliant, but he's still sweating over the shop being closed. Tiju insists. Just trust me, sit back and watch what happens next with me. He wants to see who ends up regretting this little ban. 5 days later, Park shows up at the pharmacy and is stunned to find it still shut. He's down to his last few bottles. Without that antidote, there is absolutely no way he's heading out to hunt. Other hunters start gathering too, starting to wonder if those nasty rumors might actually be true. The word is the medicine makes people sick after taking it. That's why the committee is demanding he makes the secret formula public. They think Beck just couldn't handle the heat and quit. Park can't believe it. These rumors are garbage, and he's the living proof of that. He's taken every medicine Beck has made, and look at him, he's perfectly fine. Suddenly, a crushing aura washes over the street. It's the one and only Yun Hak. Park is shocked to see the vigilante captain. Is he really mixed up with the YJ pharmacy? Yun Hak speaks. He tells the hunters that the decision to close the shop was the committee's call. It's staying shut until they've finished analyzing that secret formula. He tells the Awakeners to clear out of the area immediately. Scram, I don't want to see any of you loitering around here. Park fires back, calling the whole thing ridiculous. He was part of the trials and feels absolutely great. He asks how they're supposed to hunt without any protection. Are you really telling us to go back to wearing those clunky bug suits? The other hunters join in, and the protest explodes. So they tell Yun Hak straight up, they are done with the old days. They are demanding that the committee finally listen. Either let Beek sell those antidotes, or bring in a witness who has actually suffered side effects. They believe Yun Hak and the top rankers do not care, since they are immune to poison anyway. Yun Hak is stunned, these lower rankers. He can't believe they have the guts to talk back. He almost wipes them out, but stops himself. He just tells them to vanish before he loses his cool. Yun Hak is fuming that the administrative officer is using him to handle all the dirty work. All because of that annoying majority vote rule. One by one, the Awakeners start clearing out, leaving only the loyal Park behind. Yun-hak is seeing red when he realizes he is the last one standing, and he is about to snap. He nearly draws his sword to end him for bluffing, but Park scrambles away, apologizing for his life. Yun-hak is left disgusted by the absolute mess he has to clean up. Now he is planning to teach Seok a lesson for trying to pull the committee's strings like this. Now, while that's happening, Seok is cruising in his car, checking in with the administrative officer. He's incredibly grateful that the man has someone like Yun-hak under his thumb. The officer reminds him that even though Yun-hak is a legendary master ranker, he is still just one committee member. He explains that as long as they have the chairman on their side, they are safe. Nothing can stop them. Young-ha is powerless against a majority rule since he is stuck playing by the book and maintaining public order. Plus, Young-ha doesn't really care. As long as nobody crosses his lines, his only real priority is the safety of the city. Seok tells the officer that everything is falling into place perfectly. They just need to keep Young-ha out of the way for the next phase to go smoothly. Since things are about to heat up, Seok promises a massive reward while claiming that Beak won't even last another week. Unless, of course, a pile of money literally falls from the sky to save him. Meanwhile, Taeju is in a high-stakes meeting with General Hyung, promising to supply 1 million bottles for his defense corps. He mentions the price will stay at 50,000 won per bottle, and immediately, Hyung's expression turns ice cold. Taeju is sweating, wondering what on earth could be wrong with this guy. He's worried the general is angry. Maybe he's offended that the military isn't getting a regular discount. But then, Hyung's assistant whispers that the commander is actually in a great mood. Hyung asks if he is really going to sell it that cheaply, leaving Taeju shocked that his price is considered a bargain. Hyung turns to his aide. He asks if they can pull 50 billion won from their reserve fund, and the answer is yes. Hyung orders him to deposit half of that right now as a massive down payment. But wait. Taeju mentions he has one more product to offer, catching Hyung off guard since he expected only mosquito antidotes. Taeju reveals he's starting his own company and just finished developing a brand new medicine. He pulls out some deer meat and tells the general to have a taste. Hyung thinks it's just regular meat. He turns it down, mentioning that he's currently being very strict about watching his health. Taeju suggests he present it to the emperor instead, because he'll definitely love this rare spore poison water deer meat. Hyung, the commander and his assistant are left completely speechless by the news. This legendary meat is said to taste like heaven itself, with juice that flows like a fountain. He can't help but admire Taeju's talent. Without wasting a second, he asks if he'd re-enlist, since the military desperately needs elites like him. One look at Taeju's face says it all. He's not interested. After his meeting with Taeju, the commander stands by his office window, reflecting on the long road he's traveled. He muses about the heavy burden of his duty, managing the beast waves at the border while keeping their population under control. Essentially, he was frustrated with his appointment. If he succeeded, it was just another day. If he failed, the weight of the world would fall on his shoulders. But if things went wrong, he'd take the fall. But eventually, a golden opportunity finally presented itself. He questions his assistant regarding the water deer antidote, and the assistant confirms that every single detail has been handled according to his orders. It's exactly as suspected. They only traded because of their ongoing feud with the Pharmacy Association under Seok's leadership. It's a calculated move. The aide adds that the newspaper matter has also been dealt with exactly as planned. Tomorrow, the news of the military's latest major deal regarding the antidote and the hunt will finally be made public. The commander is clearly impressed by his assistant's efficiency. He orders him to watch Taeju closely and offer help whenever the young man needs it. Unexpectedly, he thanks his assistant for all the loyalty and support. The man exhales in pure relief, touched that his master finally acknowledges his years of dedicated service. Suddenly, the commander pulls his assistant into a tight, unexpected hug. He declares that it's finally time for them to use this chance to climb all the way to the imperial family. The assistant promises his unwavering loyalty, swearing to follow his master to the very end. Their loud, boisterous celebration practically makes the walls of the entire building tremble with energy. The rest of the staff, terrified. Later, Beak and Taeju meet up. Beak reveals that the new company is almost ready to launch. Now, the only thing left to do is choose a name. Taeju shows his gratitude for Beak's tireless efforts. He's also incredibly relieved that the high-stakes deal with the military went through smoothly. Honestly, you and I can see the commander set the stage perfectly for them. By leaking the contract and the new drug as exclusive news, the man saved them a huge amount of trouble. It's clear to Taeju that the commander didn't reach his high rank through simple luck. Taeju notes that with the current momentum, the tide has finally shifted in their favor. Also, Beak managed to pay off his loans using the down payment they received from the military. He even spitefully closed every single account he had with that bank. Talk about petty. Taeju is impressed and tells him to use the leftover funds to take care of the orphanage. After some serious thought, Taeju drops a bombshell on his friend and colleague. He admits that he doesn't think he can handle running the entire company alone. He needs a partner he can actually trust with his life. He asks if Beak is willing to officially become his business partner. Beak is completely floored. Beck tells Taeju that all he has ever done is run a tiny pharmacy, so he honestly doesn't think he will be of much help here. Taeju shuts him down, admitting he only knows how to make medicine, not sell it. He makes it clear that he cannot do business without Beck's help. Beck is absolutely floored by just how much Taeju actually respects him. Beck finally agrees to be his partner, but says it has to be a 90-10 split, favoring Taeju heavily. However, Taeju disagrees and suggests they make it a 70-30 split instead. Beck agrees to this, but lets Taeju know that he won't be the one running it because he knows someone else who is more capable. Turns out this talented person was raised in the orphanage as well. And Beck tells Taeju that he has already met her before. He's talking about Soyeon, the smartest and most capable among all his children. He asks Taeju if it is cool to call her up immediately. Taeju is secretly impressed at how Beck has raised children in so many different professions, which is basically his superpower. Taeju assures Beck that he is totally open to working with anyone capable, and the two shake hands to seal the deal. Taeju then tells Beck that a company name just came to him. He reveals the name is Taehong Bio, a combination of both their names. Beck loves the name and promises to get it registered right away. Plus, he has summoned awakened orphanage alumni to serve as Taeju's personal bodyguards. Taeju asks him why he even did this. And Beck reveals Seok might use force, so he wants the fellows to protect him. Taeju assures Beck he is fine and suggests they protect the orphanage instead. Deep down, Beck wonders what kind of power makes him so confident. With no awakened mark, Beck assumes he is relying on past military strength. He wonders if Taeju is betting everything on old combat skills. Taeju can see the obvious worry on his face, asking why he still shows so much distrust after everything he has seen. However, Beck assures him that he trusts him more than anyone else alive. Taeju then decides to clear the air, telling Beck to call the awakened fellows who are supposed to be bodyguards, because he wants to prove his abilities while testing the new poison antidote. With a mysterious smile, Taeju says he wants to go hunting. Soon, the entire group heads to Mount Jiri. And the leader of the squad, Beck Changhun, is floored by Taeju's incredible 4 billion won designer coat. Since Taeju is the one leading the line, the dude taps his shoulder, suggesting he takes the lead before magical beasts appear. But Taeju tells him not to call him boss, just call him brother. Changhun agrees, but quickly repeats his warning, urging Taeju to step behind them because they are meant to protect him. Taeju stays silent, making the guy apologize if he was out of line. But then, Taeju brushes it off. No need to apologize. He is used to being underestimated since he isn't even an awakener. He suggests they save the small talk for later. Right now, they have some lurking danger to deal with. Chang-hun is totally lost. He has no clue what Taeju is even talking about. But suddenly, he looks up. A swarm of storm weasels is diving at them like angry bees. While the squad panics, Taeju reaches into his pockets. He whips out 2 sets of hidden weapons and lets them fly. In one clean motion, Taeju obliterates the monsters. Chang-sun is left staring in absolute shock. Because even a user rank like him couldn't take them down that effortlessly. As for Taeju, he is not even impressed. He cleared the room without even needing his willow leaf flying daggers. He just used basic anti-personnel tools. The needles and iron pellets. But there is a catch. Over 200 of them are gone for good. Those weapons aren't exactly cheap either. Taeju wishes he had hit the 7th star of the poison art by now. Then, he could just pull them back with a wave. Chang-sun can't help it. He has to ask, is he a master? Ranker, only they can hide their markings like that. Taeju just laughs it off. He's not even an awakener. But he promises him one thing. He is taking the lead from here on out. Chang-sun starts to protest, remembering his father's warning. But after seeing Taeju's lethal skills, he quickly shuts up and steps back. A little later, they spot a water deer. Chang-sun looks at Taeju, wondering what the plan is. Taeju explains the deer's game. It thinks its poison makes it untouchable. But get this, it is about to awaken. He tells the group, it's time to use the medicine. And Chang-sun hesitates. He is still not sure if this stuff will actually work. But he pushes through his fear. He realizes he is in the exact same position as his father was before him. So he has to trust Taeju, just like his old man did. Taeju made the antidote and showed his strength. Now, it is their turn to prove they aren't dead weight. Then, Chang-sun downs the antidote. He tells Taeju he will be the one to take the first shot. Chang-sun draws his weapon, leaving the deer stunned. It never expected anyone to be dumb enough to actually charge it. Chang-sun confirms its worst nightmare when he lunges forward, the deer's last resort, a soul-piercing scream. The sound is deafening. The rest of the group, except for Taeju and Chang-sun, are covering their ears. Chang-sun uses his cutting skill and takes the head clean off. Immediately, the humps on the deer's back explode. Spores scatter everywhere. Panic hits the team. Even Taeju feels a spark of worry. But he breathes a sigh of relief. It turns out the antidote is doing exactly what it is supposed to. Plus, he's actually impressed. Chang-sun has some serious guts. And the rest of the team is buzzing. They can't believe how well the antidote works. They're walking right through those spores without a single care. Taeju turns to Chung-soo. Do you believe me now? Because with this antidote, this deer is nothing. It is all bark and no bite. Chung-soo and the others immediately start apologizing for doubting him. All right, let's pick back up. Taeju sees no issues and wants to keep hunting while they're on a roll. But first, he tells them to process the deer now, because once the antidote is public, these creatures will be hunted into literal extinction. Cut to New Seoul, where Soyeon is crushing it as one of the city's youngest corporate managers. Her workday is interrupted when her boss suddenly shows up, and the topic is her own father. She wonders what this guy actually wants. Her boss orders her to drop every single project she's currently handling at the company. Right now, he needs her to head down to Guri to handle a very specific favor for him. He shows her an article about a startup pharmaceutical company, the one her father is building. Soyeon is stunned. She had absolutely no idea her father was even working on something this massive. Her boss makes it clear he doesn't care about her feelings. He just needs her on the ground in Guri. Stay close to your father, he says. Find the antidote info and secure that formula at any cost. He threatens her, reminding her who they really work for, but if she succeeds, her life will change forever. It's a high-stakes gamble, and she's right in the middle of it. She can't believe he's asking her to betray her own blood. Right then, a call comes in from her father. She tells the boss to back off for a second while she answers the phone. He tells her to keep it brief. She needs to make a choice fast. After hanging up the phone, Soyeon is suddenly all smiles and high energy. Her boss asks for her final decision, and her expression shifts instantly as she tells him she's decided. She confirms she is going. Straight to Gyuri. The man starts to celebrate, but then she slams her ID card down. She's quitting this trash company on the spot. She walks right past him, mocking him for acting so big when he's actually a pretty short guy. Her boss screams after her as she leaves, asking if she knows what a mistake she's making. Soyeon just gives him the middle finger. Now back in Gyuri, Taeju and the crew finally return to the building. Taeju tells everyone to get some rest. He'll handle the rest of the heavy lifting himself. Chung-soo hesitates. His father ordered him to stay and protect Taeju at all costs. But Taeju just laughs. After seeing him fight today, does he really look like he needs a bodyguard? Go back to the orphanage, Taeju tells him. Protect Beek and the kids, that's the priority. Chung-soo knows he's right. He tells his siblings to pack their gear. It's time to head back to the orphanage. Deep down, Taeju isn't too worried because he knows that orphanage is the only one in town. Touching it would cause a massive public outcry. On the other hand, the world is full of lunatics, and Gyuri has more than its fair share. He needs reliable people like Chung-soo. Once the company starts processing the antidote, he'll finally have time to breathe. He can get back to what he loves, developing new medicines. He originally just wanted a quiet life when he moved to this city. Somehow, he's ended up right in the center of a storm. Still, Taeju isn't complaining. This madness is the only reason he could afford the massive mansion he calls home now. Taeju is still feeling stunned, unable to believe he actually owns this massive place now. Looking back at his journey, he realizes that the people he met were his true greatest treasures. He lies back on his bed, visualizing how Gyuri will finally be the foundation for his own independent future. Meanwhile, some real trouble arrives. A group of thugs led by Sangshik is lurking outside. Sangshik can't believe this newcomer owns a mansion already. His men explain that Taeju made a fortune selling that famous antidote of his. The boss snaps, shouting that he is not an idiot and already knows that part. He admits he would have kidnapped the kid for himself if Seok hadn't ordered this hit first. The gang picks the lock, quietly creeping their way inside the dark house. He tells his crew not to say a single word. Once they reach the living room, just needle him. The plan: drug him fast and haul him away before anyone notices a thing. Moments later, they reach the bedroom. One thug lunges forward, aiming the syringe right for the target's neck. But Taeju's hand shoots out, grabbing the man's wrist. He was just debating whether to even let them try. Sangshik screams at his man to just stick him already, do not hesitate. But the thug gasps that he's trying, his hand simply won't budge. Then suddenly, Taeju snatches the needle, telling them he knew they were there from the very start. He starts teasing. He mentions how much he hates needles because they really sting. The sheer confidence radiating from him tells the thugs they might have just made a fatal mistake. He keeps mocking them, asking if the liquid inside would work just as well if he decided to drink it. Sangshik is shaking, but he barks back, demanding Taeju give back the stolen drug. His jaw drops as he watches Taeju casually down the contents like it was some delicious fruit jelly. As soon as the liquid hits his tongue, Taeju confirms it is the real deal. He taunts them, asking if they brought any more to share. Apparently, rumors have always swirled about a slum syndicate distributing these dangerous substances. Since they are untouchable, Taeju realizes a powerful high-ranking official must be protecting them. This poison causing so much misery is finally within reach. It is the perfect opportunity to test his own limits right now. Since these drugs are technically just poisons, with unique properties, his body is perfectly capable of processing the toxins. Back in the martial world, Tang dealt with every drug imaginable during his travels. This is why Taeju is absorbing it all to refine his own lethal poison essence. He doesn't stop there, absorbing the rest from the thugs, leaving Sangshik completely paralyzed with fear. Taeju demands to know who's in charge, but the man is too terrified. So, Taeju forces him through a brutal process, draining the drugs from his system to trigger a relapse. The next morning, Yoonghak arrives at the front of the mansion. It turns out Taeju reported the break-in, but that is not all he did. Yoonghak discovers that Taeju already broke his attackers and knows exactly who sent them to his door. So, because of this, they're demanding the vigilante group take these thugs away for a real investigation to prove they can be trusted. Yoonghak is absolutely livid that Shik started a mess he couldn't even clean up properly. He isn't sweating Taeju, since the guy is just some new face on the scene. But Beek, that's a different story. The man has way too much respect in this city. Dragging Si-hyuk in and forcing a quick settlement would be the easiest way out. But he's almost certain that there is zero chance Si-hyuk agrees. The guy is just way too stubborn for that. Ultimately, Young-hyuk is just worried this whole conflict is going to keep dragging on forever. And since Taeju wants a full investigation, it's just another massive headache for him to handle. Not long after that, Young-hyuk and his squad roll up to Taeju's place, where Beek steps up to greet them. But Young-hyuk just brushes past him like he's totally invisible. Cold move. A guard shoves Beek aside, while Young-hyuk marches over to where Shik and his goons are kneeling. Out of nowhere, he sentences Shik to death using the authority granted by the emperor himself. He draws his blade, ready to take Shik's head right then and there. But Taeju suddenly blocks the strike with one of his own throwing weapons. Taeju tells him to back off, demanding to know why he's trying to silence the witness. Then, Taeju plays a recording of Shik and his crew confessing to everything Si-hyuk forced them to do. Taeju calls him out, saying it's obvious Young-hyuk knows the truth and is just trying to cover it up. Fuming, Young-hyuk demands to know who this kid is, so Taeju introduces himself properly. That's when Young-hyuk realizes this guy is the legendary antidote maker. Young-hyuk leans in close, staring intensely at his face. And it hits him, he's definitely seen this guy's face somewhere before. He searches his memory and realizes Taeju was that lowly porter he met back on the mountain. Young-hyuk asks if he's really the one behind the antidote, and Taeju just says yes. Young-hyuk scoffs, telling Taeju he doesn't care because in this city, his word is the only law. He grips his sword, suggesting they just kill these 4 thugs and forget this ever happened. But Taeju isn't having it. Young-hyuk dares the kid to even try and stop him, and lunges at Shik to finish him. But suddenly, Taeju unleashes a storm of daggers right at him. Young-hyuk deflects the daggers, but one managed to graze his hand, just a tiny scratch. He actually praises Taeju, admitting he's no ordinary guy if he can land a hit on someone like him. But then, Young-hyuk sentences Taeju to death for daring to interfere with a master twice. Taeju doesn't even flinch, telling Young-hyuk he's actually curious to see what gives him the right to act like such a god. Taeju lunges at Young-hyuk, launching yet another deadly set of daggers. Just as these two are about to go all out in a massive clash, a familiar voice roars from an approaching helicopter, screaming for everyone to stop right now. Suddenly, Hyun and 3 others dive from the chopper, landing right between Young-hyuk and Taeju. Hyun looks Young-hyuk in the eye and tells him to stop this madness immediately. Young-hyuk asks why he's even in the free city, but Hyun just asks if he needs a permit to visit. Young-hyuk assumes he's using the military to interfere in Garai's business. But Hyun makes it clear he isn't here as a soldier today. He's just a civilian right now, and he suggests they both just walk away before things get worse. All right, let's jump back in as Hyun rushes over to see if Taeju is hurt. But Taeju quickly assures him that he is totally fine. It turns out the 3 men following Hyun are actually Master Awakeners and Major Generals too. In fact, these 3 would die for Taeju, considering him to be their greatest hero and benefactor. Jun-hyuk is stunned to see these elite military men acting like they're Taeju's best friends. He wonders if Taeju already knows them through his father's powerful connections. Jun-hyuk knows he needs to be careful around these 4 powerful men. They are soldiers and Master Awakeners. He decides to back off, but trust me, he's planning his revenge later. Jun-hyuk tells everyone he is leaving, but Hyun teases him to stay a while longer. Jun-hyuk snaps at Hyun, shouting that he isn't as free as they are. Hyun just smiles, telling Jun-hyuk that he expected that kind of answer. While Jun-hyuk looks confused, Hyun points out that if he's really so busy, he should have dealt with all the bad guys in the city a long time ago. He keeps taunting him, saying that he is ready to provide backup if these bad guys prove to be too much for his group to handle. Jun-hyuk says there is no need. He orders his men to load up Shik and his partners to deal with them later. But Hyun steps in, announcing that Shik and his crew are coming with him instead. Jun-hyuk snaps, saying the military shouldn't be getting involved here. Hyun explains that since these thugs kidnapped a very close friend of his, he has absolutely no choice but to intervene. Things get intense very fast. Yun-hak tells the general that his actions are a clear violation of the imperial decree. He even tries to drag the emperor's name into this mess. That's when Hyun unleashes his terrifying aura. He asks Yun-hak if they're really equals just because they are both master awakeners. The pressure sends chills down Yun-hak's spine. Hyun makes it clear he could end him right now without any trouble. Yun-hak begins to tremble as the other major generals close in and surround him. They mock him, saying they are ready to end him the moment Hyun gives the order. Even Yun-hak's soldiers are trembling in fear. Realizing he can't handle the situation, Yun-hak knows he has to back down. He pulls back his men and retreats, leaving Taeju to thank Hyun for the help. Hyun tells him not to worry, they are already in this together. Baek also thanks the general for showing up on such short notice, since he was the one who contacted the general so quickly. Hyun is glad he called because the situation is finally resolved. He then tells Taeju that he will handle Shik and his men personally. He is also going after their secret backer, who is clearly in total shock. Taeju tries to handle it himself since it is a personal matter. But Hyun insists it's not just his problem, especially if any complications happen to arise. Any mess-up could ruin the antidote. That puts the whole court's safety at risk, so Taeju finally agrees to the general's plan. Hyun promises to tie up every single loose end, so Taeju doesn't have anything to worry about. Taeju is left thinking back on everything with Yun-hak. He remembers clearly that Yun-hak was struck by one of the flying daggers. Strangely though, the guy did not show any signs of poison before he left. Taeju knows deep down that things would have ended badly if Hayoung had not intervened. After all that, Taeju realizes he is still way too weak and needs to level up to prevent another disaster. Meanwhile, as Yun-hak finally makes it back to his office, he notices that small scratch is still fresh. That should not be happening. He wonders if it was poison, and suddenly, the toxin begins spreading across his whole body. Within seconds, his skin turns a sickly green while his veins bulge out. Screaming in pure agony, he orders his assistant to get him to a hospital now. With death looming right over him, Yun-hak wonders what kind of monster Taeju really is. Later, Hayoung and his men head home. Hayoung orders his crew to dump Shik and his gang into the ocean since they are totally useless now. The gang members beg for their lives. But Hayoung does not even blink as they are tossed straight out of the helicopter. Once they are handled, Hayoung tells his men about the next important target on their hit list. He also orders troops to Tihang-bio to set up a defensive perimeter. It seems Hayoung is finally ready to build a real alliance with our main character. Meanwhile, Seo-yeon touches down at Gare City Airport and gets a call from her brother. He catches her up on everything Taeju has done for their family and the orphanage. Smiling bright, she tells her brother that she will be home in no time at all. She hops in a taxi and heads straight over to the Baek orphanage. She cannot stop grinning because she finally understands the real reason her father called her back. A bit later, she arrives to find everyone busy cooking a massive feast. Her father runs out to greet her warmly. When she asks what the occasion is, he explains they are preparing a fresh water deer. Seo-yeon is stunned. It turns out her brother was not exaggerating about the crazy things happening here. Beek suggests they head over to see Tiju, who is currently busy feeding the children. Beek introduces Seoyeon to Tiju right then and there. He is not exactly surprised to see her, though, since they have already crossed paths before. Seoyeon is shocked. He remembers her and immediately apologizes for being so rude in the past. She vows to grow the company properly, and Tiju is genuinely happy to hear that. Right then, Hyung's assistant Min-soo arrives with 19 other soldiers to serve as the new security detail for the biolab. Tiju thanks them for the help, but mentions that finding space for 20 soldiers might be a bit of a challenge. However, Min-soo tells him not to worry because they brought all their own camping and field gear. They shake on the deal, with Tiju looking forward to having some real muscle around. Min-soo promises to put his life on the line for the boss. To celebrate, Tiju suggests they kick things off with some of that deer soup. Min-soo orders his men to set up camp and get ready to eat. Tiju is floored by the incredible distance things have come for him since he is no longer alone and has a massive faction of his very own. Later, over at Garai Castle, Seok is hauled before the committee to answer for his various offenses. They demand that he admit the charges, and he reluctantly does, before finally leaving the room. Seok groans in pain because his own partners just threw him right under the bus like that. He is also worried that he hasn't been able to contact Shik. And this is when he decides he must lie low for things to finally and eventually settle down. Moments later, Seok stops at a red light, and that is when a masked man on a motorbike appears. The masked man smashes the window with a bat, kills Seok, and shoves the car into the dark river below. After doing this, he calls his boss to report the hit is complete before finally heading all the way right back to base. First is the content creation process. After having an idea, I will create an outline for each part. This is the idea, and this is the outline. After checking this outline carefully, I start writing detailed content based on the outline above. So this is my handwritten script. After I based it on that outline, after having the handwritten script, once this is done, we put it into a translation website. This is our internal translation website. We designed this website specifically